Postal Service will release a commemorative World War II Medal of Honor stamp on Monday, and featured on it will be Sergeant Frank Currey from Selkirk. He was awarded the Medal of Honor in 1945 for saving the lives of 5 of his fellow soldiers. At first, he was pretty excited about the stamp, but he tells our Jennifer Lukey it's been quite a long and drawn-out process.
Well, this is a story that's new at 6, and you're only going to see it here, Greg. Frank Currey was just 19 years old when he was shipped overseas to fight for his country in World War II. He has 3 Purple Hearts, a Silver Star, and the Medal of Honor. He is the definition of a true American hero. So when the Postal Service approached him about having his image on a commemorative stamp, he agreed. But since then, he says, it's been quite a frustrating process.
December 21st, 1944 was one of the longest days of Frank Currey's life. But all these years later, he still remains modest about just what took place.
I had 3 months of, 3.5 months of combat before that day, and 5.5 months after that day.
To the soldiers he saved, it was anything but. German tanks had advanced on their position, and under heavy fire, the Americans were forced to retreat to an abandoned factory.
So in the course of the afternoon, I managed to disable them 3 tanks with a grenade. Then I used the machine gun to cover the last couple of guys so they could get out.
But Frank didn't get out with them. He returned back to the factory where 5 other soldiers were pinned, 2 of which were wounded, and came up with a plan. They found a Jeep, loaded up the injured, and decided to plow through.
I said, I'll ride shotgun on this rear wheel that they had on the Jeep. And if we're challenged by the Germans, I'll hop off and I'll cover you, and you guys just take off.
They all got out alive that day, and in the 70 years since, Frank has continued to help countless other soldiers as a benefit counselor at the VA. There are a total of 464 Medal of Honor recipients like Frank from World War II. More than half of them were awarded the medal posthumously. The Postal Service wanted to honor them all on Veterans Day. The plan was to print the names of all 464 recipients in the booklet and print a picture of the 12 who were still alive on the front of that booklet.
This was supposed to have been out in 2012, but they couldn't meet the deadline on it.
And since then, there have been a number of changes.
The actual contract that we signed has been changed at least 4 times.
And because it took so long to get together,
they've been procrastinating so long on this that of the 12 of us in here, 4 of them have now deceased.
And then when Frank got a proof of what the stamp book would look like,
and then Francis Currey, except for Francis Currey, they misspelled the name, but
I can't imagine what went through your mind when you saw that.
yeah, and they left the E out.
Well, we checked with the Postal Service, and as for that misspelling goes, they said that was just a proof they sent him. They did catch the misspelling before they printed them out and sent them to the post offices. So the ones at the post offices now have his name spelled correctly. They'll be for sale starting on Monday. But they do admit that this whole process took much longer than they had initially expected it to. And that's because initially they were going to put the faces of each of these honorees on the actual stamp. And then they decided that that may not be fair to the other ones who were awarded the medal because they had already passed on. So they decided on this as sort of a compromise. And so it's been a process. And I think the intentions were, of course, good here. But when you're dealing with World War II vets, Frank's the youngest you're going to get at 89 years old.
Yeah, well, let's face it. These are the bravest, the greatest of the heroes that we have today. And so any honor is terrific. I just got to think, you're sitting on that couch next to him, and you're sitting next to one of America's greatest. I mean,
I was overwhelmed, and I said so many times it's such an honor to be able to spend so much time with him. And obviously we're doing this story today, but I have a more complete story with Frank, his story, the actual day that he was awarded that medal for, and that's going to come up on Monday, Veterans Day.
Great.
But they are having, the Postal Service, a local ceremony for Frank here tomorrow at the new Karner Road location, and that's at 1 o'clock. That's going to honor a number of veterans, but particularly Frank, for this, and they'll have a big display of the postage stamp and all that.
Yeah, the stamp is nice, but the lives he saved and what he did for this country is
amazing.
amazing.
Goes far beyond that.
All right.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Jen.